Ever wondered how computers understand different types of data? Well, it all boils down to something called data types. Just like we humans, computers need a system to categorize and make sense of information. That's where data types come into play. They're like labels that tell computers how to interpret different kinds of information, be it numbers, text, or something else entirely. And they're not just a fancy term, they are an essential part of every programming language. Just like we need to know whether we're dealing with apples or oranges in a fruit salad, computers need to know what type of data they're dealing with. Imagine you're a computer. How would you tell the difference between a number and a word, or between true and false? Well, it's all about data types. Let's explore the 4 main primitive data types. First, integers. These are whole numbers with no decimal points. So, if you're counting someone's age, you'd use an integer. Next up, floats. These are numbers with decimal points. If you're keeping track of a bank balance down to the last cent, you'd use a float. We also have booleans. These represent either true or false. Think of it like a light switch, either on or off, true or false. Finally, characters. These are single letters or symbols. If you're storing a person's initial, you'd use a character. These 4 data types are the building blocks of information in the computing world. Just as we use different containers for different types of food, computers use different data types for different kinds of information. But what if you need to store more complex data, like a list of numbers or a collection of words? This is where non-primitive data types come into play. They are like the Swiss Army knives of the data world, capable of holding a variety of information. Let's start with arrays. An array is like a grocery list. You can add multiple items to it, but they all have to be of the same type. For example, an array could hold a list of integers, representing the quantities of each item on your list. Then we have strings. Strings are like names. They're used to store a sequence of characters, or in simpler terms, text. For example, the name John Doe is a string because it's a sequence of characters. So just as a grocery cart can hold multiple fruits, an array can hold multiple values. And just as a sentence is a collection of words, a string is a collection of characters. So how do data types help computers make sense of the world? Well, in the simplest terms, data types are like the different ingredients in a recipe. Just as you wouldn't mix up sugar with salt, a computer needs to distinguish between integers, strings, booleans, and other data types. This categorization helps computers process information accurately and efficiently. It's the backbone of successful programming. Just as knowing whether you're dealing with a fruit or a vegetable can make a big difference in a recipe, knowing what data type you're dealing with can make a big difference in a program.